Hi, I'm Rob Raybon. Welcome to my review of my 2011 Ford Mustang. Bought this car in January of 2011. It's a Mustang GT Premium 5 liter, 6 speed. It had the upgraded interior, the My Color technology, heated seats, and all those fancy items. Front lip is an RTR, which is made by RTR, who also makes my fender flares, who also makes my wheels, and what else did they make? They also make my rear deck lid panel, which currently says Hoonigan on it. The rear spoiler that's currently on the car is made by a company called Aztec Metalworks. Some people think the wing's a little too aggressive, but I think it's just right. My exhaust setup is fairly simple. I'm currently running Flowmaster Outlaw Series axle backs with a Lethal Performance Off-Road X-Pipe. Stock exhaust manifolds. My lower control arms, lower control arm relocation brackets, sway bar relocation brackets, pan hard bar, and pan hard brace are all UPR. I should really jack up the car so you can see it better, but these are the UPR lower control arms. These are their solid version. They're virtually indestructible. They're solid, it stiffens everything up in the rear. The car launches harder, the car launches better. There was a clunking sound in the rear that went away once I put these on. I highly recommend them. The car also launches a lot better because of the relocation brackets, which I also highly recommend. Some people weld them in, but I just did the bolt-on install. They made a big difference. The tires are Dunlop Sport Max GTs, which are pretty decent tires. I got them pretty cheap, but they're only 255/35 19s, which was about as wide as I could go with the offset on the RTRs before the fender flares. I really want it to be low, and I cared more about lowness than speed. And that was before the supercharger also. You put 600 horsepower through to these tires. It doesn't really grip very well, and it's kind of scary, but it is pretty fun. Everybody always asks me what kind of hood this is, who makes it, where they can find it. It's a Tiger Racing hood. You can find them through chicane23.com. It's a very, very light hood, but it does leave your engine open to the elements, including your air cleaner, fuel rails, fuel injectors, but they work great for heat extracting. Hood. And there's a 5.0. I have a Paxton Novi 2200 supercharger. I have the JLT Big Air, or whatever they call it, cold air intake. Cone filter's a little beat up, could be a little cleaner. Just running breather caps. And I do have ID 1000s. And I'm also running a booster pump, which is mounted in the trunk. But that's pretty much it as far as the main performance upgrades. I do have a 2-step down here. I don't use that too much for performance. I use it just to make noise. It's a simple setup, but it works. The supercharger's been on 3 different cars. It originally belonged to JPC Racing. Then my friend Glenn bought it, and then he flipped his car. Not meaning that he sold it, meaning that he literally flipped it 4 times and almost died. He gave me a pretty good deal on the supercharger though. This is my trunk setup. As you can see, it's very basic, very empty, and very dark. It's a very, very basic setup. Manifold is bolted on that little panel up there. Compressor is just kind of hanging out in the open. And I have the old school big 5-gallon airlift tank, which is great, but takes up a lot of space. Also keep my booster pump back here, and that's about it. I almost forgot to mention that I do have Airlift's compressor isolation kit, which I highly recommend. It makes everything a little bit quieter, a little more stable. The compressor bolts don't come loose every 5 minutes. If you have air suspension, just buy it. The trunk is always ripped apart because I'm always ready to pull the taillights and re-dip the car. This is the first year that I've kept the same color on the car for more than a couple months. If anybody that was wondering about the Aztec spoiler, it does use the factory mounting holes. It's made out of aircraft grade aluminum too, which is pretty sweet. It's very dirty right now, but I did travel 6,300 miles and didn't wash the car once. I hear a lot of people say that dip sucks. Vinyl is far superior, paint's far superior. But I don't want to pay $3 grand for something that's going to bubble up and peel and be on the car temporarily. That's why I always like dip. This is dip. And you can see the texture's not too bad. And the clear was actually a bad gallon that the company sent me, so it was unthinned. It wasn't as thin as it should have been, even though I self-thinned. It still didn't lay as flat as it normally does. I have sprayed a lot smoother. The trunk is even smoother than dip. That's because it's a different product. That is actually Rail Zytec, which Rail makes okay stuff. It's pretty hard to work with, and their customer service is absolutely horrible, and that's why I really don't deal with them at all. The hood, which is currently filthy, it sustained a little bit of damage on the trip and actually has a crack in it, which sucks. But the hood is very lightweight and accidents happen, and we did hit a tumbleweed the size of a Christmas tree, so if that's the only casualty, it's not that big of a deal. Currently features ghost flames done by the very talented Waylon Kane. Kinda like them, I might keep them. I really don't want to peel the hood because of that. Also on the trip, we did get a chip in the windshield. The first one after 60,000 miles on this car. First chip on the windshield. The shark mouth is actually vinyl under matte clear Plastidip. Friend Brandon helped me out with that, and he vectored it out, cut the vinyl, I laid it down. And if anybody wants to know more about where they can get something like this, please hit me up and I will send you his way. This front lip has been on the car for about 2.5 years, and it's actually sustained a lot of abuse. There's a couple of small cracks here and there, but overall it's performed very well. It's taken the abuse, and it still looks pretty cool. If you look behind the lip, you can see the Paxton intercooler hiding, which it hides pretty well. I also have yellow fog lights, which that was just a vinyl overlay from AmericanMuscle.com. I thought it looked pretty cool. I like Euro. Euro stuff's cool. If anybody was wondering about wheel sizes, they're just 19 by 9.5. The reason that the car is wider is because I am running spacers. Even though some people think it's racer, I don't have wheel money currently, so suck a dick. What most people don't think about when they think about fender flares is that you do have to cut your body up quite a bit. I guess if you're stock ride height, you could get away with just bolting them on. You don't have to worry about it. But for those that want to be low or lowered or bagged, this is about how much you got to cut off. My tuning was done by Adam Brown at Revolution Automotive. He is a god when it comes to tuning Coyotes. Currently the car is sitting at 61,847.5 miles. 6,300 of which were put on it while we drove across the country. I've driven this car a lot. In case anybody wanted the driver's seat view, it's pretty nice in here. That's where your bitch goes. My interior kit also came with matching rears. A few years ago, the car got keyed by some weirdo with too much time and not enough dick size. The only original panel that hasn't been resprayed is the roof, which is still in very good shape, with the exception of one small dent that was put there by some girl that laid on top of the car over the summer, which is fine. She's pretty cool. Well, that's it for the review. If you want to call it a review, overview, whatever. If anybody has any other questions or wants to see anything particular in a video, I'm trying to do more video this year, so just let me know.